What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn. I'm bringing you guys our draft breakdown for the NCL Season 4 in the Zebstrika division. For those of you who don't know, I ended up splitting... Well, okay, first of all, for those of you who don't know and who are maybe new, I run this league. It's my league with help from some friends, but I am the commissioner. And I split the league into two divisions this season. So we expanded, sorry about that. First two seasons, we were at 12 teams total, and then we expanded to 16 last season. Now the main league is 16, and the Blitzel division, which is the minors essentially, is 12. So we jumped from 12 to 28 over the span of two seasons, which is really cool. I'm really excited about that. We've got some new faces and some returnees. Jed's back, Shade's back, Tiff's back. We played all of them last season. Dom's back. Nacho came back after a season of hiatus. So did Daniel. So did Phil. So that's really cool. It's really great having the new guys. Old faces back in the fold. We have some new coaches. We've got Aaron. We've got Vanderil. We've got... Oh, sorry. I forgot to mention Hamu's back as well. We've got Chess. We've got Mortal back as well. Mike. And then Cade and Jay are also back in the Zebstrika division. Now, standard draft, standard tier draft, just like the NCL always is. You know, it's GBA tiers, but we do a lot of changes in the offseason. I'm really dedicated to my league. This is my passion, is running this league. And I get a lot of votes together, and I force people to vote. It is quite a lot of votes. I believe we had upwards of 100 this season on tier changes and whatnot. You know, only so many of them passed actually move tiers. Most of the time people leave it in the same tier, but feelings change based on usage and whatnot. Jed has a whole usage tiering thing in the works for potentially Season 5, which I think is really cool. I really like the idea of tiering based on usage. I just think that it's such a neat idea within the league to tier based on that. So we'll see if it pans out and whatnot. But yeah, pretty standard rules. A few things. Lando I was allowed this season. Sorry, Lando I was Sheared Force. Sheer Force was allowed, as well as Deoxys Defense, which I thought would get my target back to me. Oh, how wrong I was. I did end up getting sniped in the first round. I got a pretty terrible pick. I ended up getting 11th pick, which is really not that great. Closer to the back wheel in a shit spot is not really where you want to be. I'd much rather be like 5th or something like that. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it, so I guess I can go into things right now. Megalodius was the first pick for Mike. Coco went, then Lando I went, then Selly went, then Kieran Black went, Mew. Excadrill for Jay and his full-on weather team. He drafted one of each weather and one of each abuser for the weathers. And then the snipe happened. So the next three picks were Daniel, Tiff, and Phil. Phil told me he was going Lando T. Tiff told me she wasn't going to take my pick, and she ended up going Mega Mawile. And then Daniel ended up inadvertently sniping me. So I was asking Daniel to see if what I wanted was going to make it back to me, and it didn't, because he took it. So Daniel took Mega Latios, and for those of you who saw my PTL Season 1, I love Mega Latios. Even if you go all the way back and view my LET videos, which are really bad quality, but it's kind of a fun ride. Mega Latios was an integral part of that team, and I just love using that thing so much. It just kind of like clicks buttons, which is what I love so much about it. So instead, we grabbed something that I'm somewhat comfortable with. I've been using it in the GSA all season now. We're coming up into playoffs of GSA, I believe. As I record this, I'm done my Week 10 match there, and I'm clinched into a playoff spot. I believe I'm playing AA Run 2-4-20 in the first round. And so I ended up grabbing the Mega Diancie. Now, Mega Diancie is really cool. It's super powerful. 160 base attacking stats. 110 in the defenses isn't great with base 50 HP, but 110 speed is really good. Gains 60 speed points after Mega Evolving. It was kind of meh in Gen 6 because you had to run Protect, essentially. You didn't gain the speed instantly in Gen 6, so you basically had to waste a move on Protect. Doesn't have to do that anymore, which makes it really good in Gen 7. You know, it's a rocker right off the bat, which is great. It's a fairy right off the bat, which is great. It's a steel weakness right off the bat, which isn't great. But a magic bouncer is also really cool too. I had sort of a theme in my mind of what I wanted to get. I really wanted to get Arachnid with Hoopa-Unbound. That was kind of where I wanted to go with this, is web support for Hoopa-Unbound. And I think that Mega Diancie sort of pushes a lot of Mons away from setting up hazards, which really helps the Hoopa, especially opposing webbers would be really annoying. And Mega Diancie generally beats most sticky webbers because of the rock typing. It threatens the bug types that have it. I believe Slurpuff is the only sticky webber that wouldn't like outright be threatened by Mega Diancie turn 1. Yeah, I'm really excited for Mega Diancie. It's a really good special attacker. It can definitely run physical moves. It, a purely physical Mega Diancie set is very strange, but it runs mix sets very effectively. It can explode on things, I guess, as well. Although Mega Glalie can do that a little bit more effectively. Sorry, I'm just going to take a drink of water. Really excited to use it again. I've used it really well in GSA, but I paired it with Magnezone in GSA and Ash Greninja. So people have been prepping for Ash Greninja, not for the Mega Diancie. But Magnezone was a nice way to trap the steals. So when it got back to me in round 2, I was a little bit sketched out about what I wanted here. I really wanted Zapdos. I really wanted Zapdos to pair with it because it was a really good Steel type switch in. Really solid Steel type switch in. But Shade sniped me on it with no regrets whatsoever, and I still have this lingering hatred for Shade for sniping my Zapdos. I've never used my Zapdos in... I've used Zapdos so many other places, but I've never used it in NCL. This draft is very toned down compared to what I normally do in NCL. I believe I've used every one of these Mons before in some capacity. I've drafted them before, I should say. I've never used most of these in NCL, and that's normally what I've done in the last 3 seasons, is I've never doubled up picks, excuse me. But I did end up taking 2 Mons that I've used before in the NCL in this draft, both from last season's team, actually, funnily enough, which is the team that I didn't even make playoffs with, but I loved using both of these Mons so much, and they were so integral to the team that I just had to take them. So, anyway, second round, I needed something to deal with the steals from Mega Diancie. Wanted to go with a Dragon, because the good Dragons were going to go really quickly. This was definitely the round for it. Hydreigon had just gone. Like, right next to the wheel, Hydreigon had just gone. The only Dragons picked in the first round were both of the Megalodis and Kyurem Black, which are like the highest value Dragons. So the fact that Hydreigon went round 2, and this was still up when it got to me, I was like, okay, I gotta take this before the rest of the Dragons go. And funnily enough, both of the Lotties went the 2 picks after me. Regular form Lotties. So I ended up grabbing the Garchomp, and this is really funny because I'm actually using this in 4 leagues at the exact same time, but none of them are paired with Mega Diancie. I have 2 of them paired with Clefable, and 1 of them is paired with Mimikyu and Primarina. So yeah, if you've been watching my recent content, you'll see this on my WPL team, you'll see this on my PTL team, and you will end up seeing this on my Red team. I will be uploading Red after PTL is finished, I believe, is my sort of timeline on that. So I'm going to have 3 upload leagues with WPL, PTL, NCL. Excuse me. And I'm recording Red all at the same time. So I'll be recording 4 leagues and then uploading 2 at a time, essentially, after. Excuse me, because WPL is almost finished. We're getting close to the end of the season in WPL. It may not seem like that on my channel, because I probably only have 7 weeks uploaded? 6 weeks uploaded? I think when I'm recording this, I have 6 weeks uploaded, but this weekend it should be 7, and we are in week 8 currently. So, getting close to the end of WPL. PTL is like halfway through the season, so I don't want to like hold back NCL content though, because it's like the main, it's the backbone of my channel, honestly. It's my own league. So, I'm leaving NCL with all of that, and then Red I'm putting a lot more time into because I have the editing and whatnot, and I have to make the thumbnails. It's a lot more high effort with the thumbnails and editing and whatnot. So Red will be going up after PTL finishes. I've got all of Red recorded up to this point. It's week 6 in Red right now out of 10, so it's all recorded, and it'll go up after PTL's done. But that's besides the point. Garchomp, really good Mon, ground type that beats the Steels, Dragon type to go with Fairy. Another rocker, which is really cool. So now I have 2 rockers, which is amazing. Really good speed tiers, both right off the bat. The ice weakness isn't great, but forces people to choose between Hidden Power Ice, Hidden Power Steel. Probably more likely Hidden Power Ice. People think of Garchomp as a bigger threat. And at this point, I was kind of kind of inadvertently drafting 4 times weaknesses, and I'm going to draft another one in round 3. This is a mon that I personally really enjoyed in my last season of Red, and a lot of people don't think it should necessarily be tier 2. I don't really think it's got the value to be tier 1. I think that if it's tier 1, no one's going to pick it, but I grabbed it in tier 2, and that is Buzzwole, which just won a title in the NCL on Ben's team. And actually so did Garchomp, funnily enough. So all 3 of these mons, Diancie was on Cade's team on the other finalist team, so I have 3 mons from the championship match from last season already. How bad can my team be, really? And honestly, I don't think that my team's bad at all. I think my team's really good. Buzzwole's kind of meh on the special side. Really amazing physical wall. It just chews physical hits. It's a kind of a bad speed tier, in all honesty, just because it's under the base 80s, but because of the prime number thing with Ultra Beasts, it's got to be 79. I like it. I like it a lot. I paired it with Mega Alakazam the first time, so maybe we can do that with something really threatening and just blow back dark types with it. That's kind of the main drive for Buzzwole for me. I don't think the Mega Diancie necessarily does that, but it's another way to break through Steel types, which I really like. Super bulky mon with Roost. It doesn't really bring much besides being a physical wall and being a utility Scarfer, things of that nature. It doesn't really have the utility move pool to do much, but it's amazing at what it does, and that's really all you can ask from it. That's pretty much all the Ultra Beasts, except for like Celesteela, which is amazing at pretty much doing anything, and that's why it's the best Ultra Beast. I don't think that Game Freak was necessarily thinking when they made these, and just was like, oh hey, Celesteela. About that, we're just going to give it really balanced stats, a ton of different coverage options, and a way to stall. Great idea. Pheromosa, I guess, is what I would consider the highest tiered Ultra Beast, but Pheromosa is obviously banned to shit in most draft leagues because it is so damn offensive. And Naganadel right afterwards. But okay, moving to round 4, I am going to grab not another 4 times weakness. I was going to grab this to start a regen core. I was considering going Tornty. It actually got taken before me, so obviously I haven't had any free picks yet, but Tornty was going to come make a return, but I am going to grab something that starts a regen core but never gets finished. It's the only regen mod on the team. It's a grass type. I thought it was kind of fun just to grab, you know, this forces a lot of Spore, and that is Amoonguss. So it forces a lot of switch-ins, which I really like. Sponges a lot of hits, so kind of have the Buzzwole and Amoonguss to just sit there, sponge hits, and put in chip damage for the Mega Diancie or Garchomp to clean late game. That's kind of the biggest drive here for me. You know, Grounded Poison is always good. Gets rid of those T-Spikes. People are going to think twice about bringing T-Spikes with Mega Diancie anyways. You know, Poison types kind of threaten Mega Diancie. I believe it's a neutral hit because I think Poison is resisted by Rock. But this is fine. It's a sponge. It's a pivot. So you pivot it in, and then you pivot into something else after Amoonguss threatens that mon out. Especially with Spore. It's really good. Excuse me. You know, it gets the powders, it can stun Spore things. It's just a really good utility mon all around. In Tier 3, it just got moved down to Tier 3, I believe, from Tier 2. So it's definitely a lot more valuable to my team there. And I kind of just wanted to go in a random direction with this. And it feels a lot like my Season 3 draft when I talk about going in random directions. But I really enjoyed Amoonguss when I had it in LET Season 2. And I hope that I enjoy it again here. The next round, I ended up grabbing my Steel, and I reached a little bit for this one. I will admit I reached a little bit for this one. I definitely could have got it in round 6, but Steels were going this round, man, and that's the kind of thing, right? Like, you gotta hop on that stuff before it gets too far. I definitely don't think I reached for this one. Looking back on it, Empoleon would have been amazing on this team. Empoleon went round 4 after, like, the pick after I took Amoonguss. And then Registeel went, like, 2 picks after that. In round 4, Registeel went round 4. It's a tier 4 mon. So I didn't feel guilty anymore about reaching for Bronzong and bringing Bronzong back on the team. What a goat mon, honestly. The couple games I posted of UPPA Season 2, which ended up dying, Bronzong was like the MVP of that team. Bronzong was by far the MVP of my team last season. Good lord. This mon carried us in NCL Season 3. Really good defensive Mon. I think it had like 8 kills or something for me in the 12 games. It went like 8-4 that season. It's just so incredibly good. I like the idea of pairing it with Amoonguss, despite the shared fire weakness. And I've got kind of a fire weakness going on here with those. It gives me a primary rocker, so it takes so much pressure off of the Garchomp and the Mega Diancie. It's a levitator for my Mega Diancie. You know, my ground switching right now is Buzzwole, but Bronzong can handle ground types too. It's a Trick Room option, which is somewhat important for later on in the draft. And it's just a really good balanced defensive Pokemon, just like Amoonguss is. Obviously, it doesn't have the HP stat for that, but we're going to patch that up at round 6. Excuse me, with another bulky Mon. And this is resembling my red draft a lot. My red draft is extremely bulky, and it's starting to resemble that a little bit more. But in a more minimalistic sense. I grabbed a lot of fat, expensive fat in red, and I'm grabbing more budget fat in NCL Season 4 here. Sort of learning my lesson a little bit, but I won't spoil too much of red for you guys. Yeah, Bronzong, really amazing Mon. You guys know I love my Psychics. I am obviously going to grab another Psychic, because I love having a defensive Psychic and an offensive Psychic. Just like I did last season with Mega Latios and the Bronzong. Round 6, I'm going to grab my Water. Waters are pretty much mostly gone at this point, and there's not too many good waters I'm going to be able to grab. I had anticipated grabbing Mega Latios and then some sort of mini Rain Core of like Pelipper, Ludicolo, and then I was informed by Jay, who obviously approached about this. Knowing his theme, I approached him and I was like, hey, are you taking Pelipper or are you taking Politoed? If you're taking Politoed, can I grab Pelipper and Ludicolo if you're not going Ludicolo? And he said someone else was targeting that, but no one else took it. So, like, what? I don't know what was going on there. I definitely could have taken Pelipper Ludicolo. It's a little bit expensive for, like, a secondary offensive thing, but I thought that would be really cool. As a water, they don't share any weaknesses besides Freeze Dry, which is 4 times super effective against both of them. But Bronzong is an amazing Freeze Dry switch-in, so I wasn't super worried about that. Anyways, oh yeah, I guess this also functions as an Ice switch-in for the Garchomp and the Amoonguss, which I think is really cool. Garchomp, I guess, kind of functions as a Fire switch-in for Buzzwole, Amoonguss, Bronzong. It's not amazing. This is another good Flying Resist for the Buzzwole, which is good. Mega Diancie, you don't want that to be your primary Flying Resist, so that's what Bronzong is good for. Round 6, I ended up grabbing Vaporeon, and I'm using this currently in Mount Silver. I've used it previously in Nepal, I believe, or Nethrepal, 3rd season of that. Picked up another Tier 3, solid special attacker, really good bulky Mon, fat Wish Passer, and that's the main thing here, right? Wish Pass in a Bronzong is pretty helpful. Bronzong obviously doesn't get recovery for itself outside of Rust, so Wish Passing into it is really effective. It helps that I can also Wish Pass into the Garchomp. Vaporeon covers Garchomp perfectly. Garchomp covers Vaporeon pretty much perfectly. Bronzong covers the grass moves that the Vaporeon doesn't like. Buzzwole can take wishes and cover the grass moves that Vaporeon doesn't like. Amoonguss can pivot and then pivot out into the Vaporeon. Baton Pass strats. I didn't really have any momentum at this point, so this is like my only pivot. Momentum grabber out of the draft. And yeah, I like Vaporeon a lot. It's been pretty useful. It kind of just sits in front of stuff. It's not like a passive wall either, because it does get Haze, it gets Roar, it gets Phasing. Phasing is really important to have on a draft, just to make sure that you don't get caught by a lot of stuff. And Scald Burns are broken, and people run Scald because they want to get the burn, and that's the whole point, right? So functions as a really good physical stop check, like physical door stop. That's, I guess, what I would rather call it, is a door stop. Yeah, not really much more to say about that. We're getting into the sort of the nitty-gritty of the draft here. Round 7, I'm going to grab my Tier 5. There were a lot of people going for their Tier 4s and whatnot. And there were only, I believe, like 2 Tier 5s off the board already in round 7. And I'm like, okay, well, I need an Electric and I need a Defogger because I have no removal on the team right now. And I need to grab something. And a Mon that stood out to me that I really, really loved last season is Rotom-Frost. So we're bringing back the boy. Freezer Burn's back, along with Clang. Those are the 2 returnees. I enjoyed Rotom-Frost so much, man. It was such a joy to have on the team. It just felt like it had a matchup almost every week in terms of offensive Pivoting gives me a nice Volt Switcher. Obviously, anything that would want to switch into Volt Switch doesn't switch into a Blizzard, and in Open Z that makes it so much better. It's not as bulky just because of the typing as other Rotom forms like Rotom Heat, Rotom Wash, Rotom Mow, but I really enjoyed Rotom-Frost a lot, and so I'm really excited to be using it again. It's another Levitator, so I've got some really good ground switch-ins now for the Mega Diancie. It's not really a switch into anything else besides that, though. I guess electric moves for the Vaporeon, but also I've got the Garchomp and Amoonguss there, so sort of building up the fire weakness again after Vaporeon made it onto the team, but you know, what can you do? I'm not going to bring all of these mons. I can't bring all these mons all at the same time. We're 7 deep now. Nice special threat, too, which sort of helps out, because I think Garchomp and Buzzwole was sort of putting me in a position where I'm like, well, you know, I've got Garchomp, Buzzwole, Mega Diancie, but then the rest of it's just kind of fat, and if Mega Diancie is the only special threat, that takes a lot of pressure, puts a lot of pressure on Buzzwole and Garchomp, because the special wall's just gonna like wall Mega Diancie. So anyways, round 8 came back to me, and I grabbed a nice mixed attacker, something I was aiming for from the start. Obviously, I didn't have any free picks yet, so I was just gonna grab this and sort of just roll with it, honestly, because I wanted another Psychic. I wanted a Dark type. I wanted a Dark type to cover the Psychics that beat Buzzwole, and I wanted a pseudo Ghost answer because my team just got like steamrolled by Shadow Ball at the moment. So I grabbed Hoopa-Unbound. Unfortunately, it's the first mon in NCL that will not be shiny. Besides that one Mew set that I had with Whirlwind in Season 2, where it couldn't be shiny because it had Whirlwind, which was like a Gen 2 exclusive move or something. Yeah, so Hoopa-Unbound, even though it's shiny on the screen, there's no HD sprite for regular Hoopa. Normally, my thing in NCL is that I make everything shiny, and I just go with it, even if it's something I've used in the past that hasn't been shiny in the past. I just make it shiny. Unfortunately, I tested it. Hoopa-Unbound is not legally shiny in any form, so I can't use it unless I want to do custom game, and I don't want to do custom game because that's just like pure cheating in Draft League, essentially. Yeah, Hoopa, really powerful mon, powerhouse. Same attacking stat as the Mega Diancie, which is actually better than both Garchomp and Buzzwole, but the special attack stat is higher at 170. So this thing is an absolute monster. Open Z makes it a little bit stronger. I've used it once before in LET Season 2, and it was just so good there. You bring it in against walls that are slower, and they just drop. It's an amazing Scarfer. It goes along with the Garchomp and the Buzzwole. In that format, sort of slots into the speed tiers below Rotom-Frost, slightly above Buzzwole. You know, my speed tiers aren't bad. They aren't great, though. Mega Diancie is my fastest mon at the moment, so we're going to patch that up next round. But it is very weak to U-turn. I did feel like I have Bug somewhat covered to an extent, or at least I will by the end of the draft. My next pick definitely covers Bug, but I'm not sure how often I want to be switching it in. Yeah, U-turns are really scary, just because of the base defense stat on Hoopa. It doesn't really eat the 4x super effective bugs. Excuse me. Doesn't eat the 4x super effective bug moves very well. Weedle one-shots it with Bug Bite, etc., etc. You know, Buzzwole's my main bug resist right now. I believe it's just 2x bug resist as well. And Mega Diancie... Actually, Mega Diancie's a 4x, or it's just a 2x as well. So, you know, I'm not sure how often I want to be switching those into U-turns over and over and over again. Garchomp kind of punishes U-turn with Rough Skin. Really more concerned about Hoopa wall breaking and having something clean up later, or having like Buzzwole or Garchomp wall break and then have Hoopa clean up later. I'd much rather have Buzzwole clean up because of just the sheer power of Beast Boost, but yeah, I'm really excited to use Hoopa. Great Z user as well. Goes along with the Garchomp in terms of Z usage, and Rotom-Frost, I guess, as well. Moving on to round 9, needed to grab something faster than the Mega Diancie, and I was at a loss. I was like, well, I need a flying type too. I don't actually have a flying type, so Mold Breaker Mons kind of steamroll me. Especially against Bronzong and Rotom-Frost. Mold Breaker Mons are super effective against them with Earthquake. No bueno. No bueno. So I ended up grabbing something that I actually already had kind of a lot of stuff ready for on the team. Like my rock resists are really good at this point, so I ended up grabbing another defogger, which is helpful, but it doesn't really want to defog for itself, and that is Talonflame. So Gen 6 Burb making a return after my GDS tournament run, which was absolute trash. But yeah, you know, you get what you pay for with Tier 4. I don't think Talonflame is that good since Gen 6. That's why it's a Gen 6 burb. It's got a lot of defensive utility with the Flame Body there. The stats don't really make up for it all that much, but Gale Wing's priority is pretty useful. You can definitely slap a Z move on Talonflame and it does stuff. It's a pivot with U-turn, which is really cool. It's a fire type, which I didn't previously have, so it finishes the fire, water, grass core thing going on there with Vaporeon, Amoonguss Talonflame, and then I've got Fairy Dragon Steel with Garchomp, Bronzong, Mega Diancie, and I've got like Psychic Dark Fighting with Buzzwole and Hoopa-Unbound, or Buzzwole, Hoopa, Bronzong, I guess. So I've got my 3 cores basically finished at this point. This was Jed's suggestion. I'm really happy he suggested it because I was just going to overlook it entirely. You know, I was definitely looking at what I could grab here. So because I grabbed the Tier 1 Mega, I didn't have enough points to grab another Tier 1. So I was maybe looking at grabbing a Tier 2 and then a Tier 4 and a Tier 5. And the Tier 2 bird I was looking at was like Staraptor, but it wasn't really faster than Mega Diancie. And I was like, do I really want to, you know, throw this into another Scarf roll? So Talonflame sort of just fit the bill for everything. I'm not sure how often it's going to come. I'm not the biggest Talonflame fan. And I definitely think it's a weak spot on the team, but it fills a speed tier that needed to be filled, honestly. You know, there's not too much I could have done there in terms of that. It gives me a removal option, which is great. I need to be on the lookout for more removal options because my team is weak to rocks, and I have, like, Rotom-Frost, Talonflame as my removal. So I can't rely on Mega Diancie to fend off rocks because the majority of things that get rocks threaten Mega Diancie themselves. And that's the biggest problem I have with Absol, is that Mega Absol doesn't threaten them on with webs because they kill it. Mega Diancie does that, but it dies to the rockers that Mega Absol also dies to. Mega Absol is just complete trash. What a garbage Pokemon. Anyways, moving on in round 10, I grabbed Sticky Webs, and I don't know where I was going with this. May have been a reach. I didn't think it was going to make it back to me if I left it there, so I just grabbed Masquerain, which also was from that GDS tournament run, I think. I don't know. It's webs, man. Who knows? It's webs. It's the same feature as Hoopa. It's garbage. You know, Intimidate's great. It's a lovely suicide lead with webs. Gets them up pretty much all the time because of Sash and Intimidate. Unnerve has some uses. It's a good Quiver Dance setup user, which I think is really cool because I didn't have a ton of like outright setup. You know, Hoopa-Unbound only has like Z Snatch, or you're running like Nasty Plot, I guess. It doesn't really want to run Nasty Plot because it can't really live the hits to get the Nasty Plot up. You'd rather just attack with it with its pure base stat power than set up with it. It's not like Hoopa Confined. Well, actually, I guess with Hoopa Confined, you really want to attack with it too. But either way, web support for Hoopa-Unbound, I think, is really important. Web support for Buzzwole is really cool too. That was something sort of overlooked until picking it. Web support for Garchomp is useful. Web support for Mega Diancie is useful. All of these things I really like. Unfortunately, it's another 4 times weak to Rocks Mon, so this is going to tempt a lot of people to bring Rocks against me with Talonflame and Masquerain on my team. I'm not sure how much of a priority they're going to put on it. I do have Rock Resists, fairly prominent Rock Resists in the Garchomp and the Bronzong. I don't think there's anything wrong with either of those as Rock Resists, especially Bronzong. It just kind of chews Rock hits. Same with Garchomp, really. There's not a lot that gets like Rock plus Ice coverage unless you're just running Hidden Power Ice, or Hidden Power Rock, I guess. Yeah, I like Masquerain. Really cool mon. Webs is the main reason I picked this. That's the main reason. And then at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I've got 120 free points left, so I can grab a Tier 2. And I figure I may as well go for the spin. Like, if I'm going to run webs, I may as well go for the spin. I don't have spikes on the team. I don't have T-spikes on the team. But I may as well have the rapid spin anyways. It's another fast mon. I really still felt like I was on the physical train here. You know, most of the time when you think of Hoopa-Unbound, you think of Hyperspace Fury, Banded sets. Typically, you definitely run special sets a lot as well, but I wanted to grab another special threat, and this mon sort of filled another speed gap between the Talonflame and the Mega Diancie. So I think I'm pretty covered. I don't have like a base 90 mon. I don't think it's that important when Garchomp just outspeeds those anyways. You know, something like Roserade isn't necessarily the most scary against my team, with the Talonflame sitting right there anyways, so all in the past, my round 11 pick was the Starmie, and I've used Starmie before. It was on my MWPA Season 5 Championship team. I believe it's the only Pokemon I've won a title with on this roster. Excuse me. this may be the first time Starmie's even been drafted. Oh my god, excuse me again. This may be the first time Starmie's ever been drafted in the NCL as well. I didn't really want to go with a triple Psychic strat because now my team is actually really weak to Ghost as well. It's really weak to Ghost. I actually have 0 Ghost resists, so that's kind of an issue that I don't have a normal type, and that's kind of why I wanted to go Staraptor, but I really did feel like webs were more important. And I should be able to kill ghosts, if that's any, like, concession, I guess. Starmie's not the strongest thing in the world. It definitely wants to run Analytic more than not. The big grab with Starmie is that you run Analytic, you threaten stuff out because you're A, faster than it, and B, have a coverage option for it. Starmie gets coverage up the ass, by the way. It gets so much coverage that you basically threaten most things out. It's a really good Life Orb user because it gets Recover. It's a spinner, which is really cool. It's a fast offensive water. I do like pairing a bulky Psychic and a bulky water with a with an offensive water and an offensive Psychic. And I've definitely done that in this draft, sort of fitting my mold. The only issue that I have with how my draft went is that I sort of skimped on the Volt Turn a little bit too much. I'm definitely going to have to use Amoonguss as a secondary, as a central pivot a lot more in these games than I'm going to want to. But the good thing is that it gets Regenerator anyways, and that I'll have the Wish Pass. You know, something like Amoonguss Vaporeon can come to most of the games and be perfectly fine as a defensive core. That's really besides all the fact. Starmie, like, the main reason I picked this was for spin. There's really no other reason. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to talk about the team, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Week 1, we take on Tiff again. So we did take her on in Week 1 of Season 3. We take her on Week 1 again. Week 1 is extended, so this will probably go up the weekend when Week 1 starts-ish. Week 1 ends on March 31st. You guys can expect these videos to go live the week that I play them, essentially, which is, I guess, the same schedule as PTL. WPL goes up a week later than I play it, and then PTL goes up, like, pretty much same day normally because I play a lot of European people, so it goes up Saturday, Sunday. I might push NCL back to, like, a Monday, Tuesday kind of thing, because I've already got PTL and WPL Saturday, Sunday. I don't really want 3 videos out for you guys same days, but this week is a break week for PTL, so I figured now is a better time than ever to get the NCL draft analysis out and sort of get you guys interested and involved in the season. If you do want a server invite, you can DM me on Discord, and I will see what I can do. If I have you blacklisted for whatever reason and you still watch my videos, then I don't know what you're doing, but there is a blacklist for certain people that are not allowed to join the server because they've caused problems in the past. I don't have a good relationship with them, anything like that. But again, if you do want a server invite, you can DM me. My Discord name is electricity number 7767. So feel free to shoot me a DM. Server's really fun. We got a lot of cool guys. We have voice calls all the time. Blitzel is going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to watching the Blitzel games and the Blitzel competitors compete. A lot of them I haven't seen battle before, so it's really cool. It's really cool to get a feel for the new battlers and sort of the future of the NCL, essentially. Like the people that are going to end up playing in the Striker division later on, when I retire, when Cade retires, etc., if that ever happens for anybody. So, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys for our Week 1 Team Wheeler against Tiff.